Hey, this is Dave with Rough Notes Magazine. We're all about helping agents and brokers thrive, and we're impressed with what you're doing. Can we feature you and your team on our front cover?
So, Shawn, tell me the feeling you had when you first found out that your agency was going to be on the front cover of Rough Notes magazine.
Yeah, it's a great question, Jason. I was actually sitting in a meeting in Dallas, Texas, and with other agency owners like myself, and I was skimming through the email during a break, and I came across the email from, it says Editor in Chief, Rough Notes Magazine, and I'm thinking, wow, I have never gotten an email from the Editor in Chief. So I opened it up very quickly to find that he wanted me to give him a call. Dave wanted me to give him a call. And so I said, well, I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. And so when I called him, he says, hey, have you heard of Rough Notes Magazine? And I said, yeah. I said, I haven't been in the industry, a really long time, but I've been in it long enough to know that Rough Notes Magazine is one of the premier publications for our industry. And he says, well, hey, we feature an agency every month. And I said, yeah. I said, I think that's super cool. And he says, hey, we've been hearing a lot about your agency, and we'd like to feature you guys in the May issue. And I'm like, wow, that is awesome. Because I'll be honest with you, when I first got into the industry, Rough Notes was one of the first magazines that I had a subscription to, that I read regularly. The content was always very timely, very applicable. I loved reading about the cases that had gone to, court. There's a lot of information you can glean from that. But I thought to myself back then, and this is 16 years ago, I thought, man, wouldn't it be cool if someday our agency gets on the cover? And how does that all work, right? How does that even happen? Yeah. So I had no idea. And, it's like a total surprise, a total shock. I know what we do as an agency. I knew that we do great work, but it was a total shock to be recognized by, the premier publication in our industry. I told people it's like the Sports Illustrated of insurance, right? So, I mean, if you're in the independent insurance business, you're reading that magazine monthly. So total shock, a lot of excitement, a very, very cool opportunity.
Yeah, it is. Good for you. Good for you, Shawn. You can hear it in your voice, and it's amazing when you think about it. Like, so many agency out there, owners have the same thought, right? They read the magazine, but sometimes consciously or subconsciously, they're thinking to themselves, man, one of these days, right? Yeah. What do I need to do? What can I glean from one of these, one piece of nugget from each month to give me 12, 11 nuggets over the course of a year? Yeah, it's really cool. So that's fantastic. I'm excited for you. So, Shawn, a lot of people are listening to this. They may not even be reading the magazine. Couldn't believe how many people have now told me for the first time, I've always seen that thing. It's always wrapped in plastic when it comes to my office, but I really didn't know what it was. And I have to tell you, agency owners, if you're out there, you got to take it and you got to put it on their desk. You got to tell her, this is what you need to read because this is where our agency is headed. If that's your teammate, or that's a young producer, whoever that can be. That's what my Verl Bazant, my agency owner, did back for me back in 2002. And that's how I kind of fell in love with it. Really. And what's also cool, Shawn, is that as you go is the people, I don't know about you, that I've seen on the front cover, and then I'll see them at events. And it's like, oh, hey, yeah, you were... I don't remember, like, oh, right. Yeah, you're February of 2022. No, I mean, that'd be a little bit too much, but yeah, that's fantastic. Let's talk about you here. So as we take it from the article to the digital stream, I want to know more. Let's get a little bit of a relationship for those maybe that didn't read it yet. How did this come about? There is a lot of mergers, and there's all kinds of stuff that came together to what you guys are now. Take about 2 or 3 minutes there and help us understand how you got there.
Yeah, this is really the tale of two agencies, right? And both locally owned independent agencies located in the same state. And so I was a part of Keller Leopold Insurance, which was sort of domiciled in the western third of Kansas. So Garden City, Dodge City, Cimarron, that whole area there. And then Assurance Partners was the other agency domiciled in Salina, Kansas. And so, over the course of the last 8 or 9 years, the two agencies had become Broad Street Partners, core agencies. And Broad Street is a wonderful organization out of Columbus, Ohio, that partners with agencies like ours. They don't partner with everyone; they partner with just a few to create opportunities for growth, both organically and through the merger and acquisition activity. And so each agency was a Broad Street core, independently doing business as they were. And in late 2020, early 2021, the conversations began to take place of what if the two, Assurance Partners and Keller Leopold, were coming together into one? What would that look like? See, Assurance Partners was a little different than Keller Leopold. Keller Leopold was a little different than Assurance Partners. Assurance Partners had a major account division, which was, for basically large, complex, large premium, large revenue, what we call major accounts, who require the services of claims analyzation, loss control, and, sort of a service cycle that centers around helping increase their EBITDA margin, helping lower the cost of insurance by being safe and minimizing loss. And so that was appealing to us as an agency in Western Kansas because we had some of these major accounts. And we thought, man, what a great benefit it would be to be able to offer these services. I mean, we have an in-house loss control individual who is able to do OSHA trainings and forklift certification and ergonomic studies and all these kind of things. And so we're like, wow, we've got some of these customers in Western Kansas that would benefit from that. Now, in Western Kansas, we do a lot of farm insurance, agribusiness related, commercial insurance, and crop insurance. And none of that was being done by Assurance Partners in Salina and in Central Kansas. And guess what?
Gotcha.
There's a lot of farming in Central Kansas. And so we thought that there was a really nice synergy between the two agencies where we could take the best from both and become stronger together. And so we took about 6 months. There was 5 of us partners with Keller Leopold. There was 2 partners with Assurance Partners. We got together. We had several meetings. We met with our folks from Broad Street to see how this would all work. And over a 6-month period where we kind of got to know each other a little bit more and understood the economies of scale and the opportunity, we finally decided, hey, this is what makes some sense. Let's do this. And so June of 2022, we made that decision and made the announcement in September. And then 2021, late 2021 into 2022, we started with researching a new name, and then
Love that.
starting as Iron Insurance in January of 2022.
And I love it. Iron, building the foundation. You guys went you guys dug deep into that, and I really, really like that part. Let me ask you a question there. So people are out there and they're wondering, right? What are some of the things that you do to help your business owners help with their EBITDA? Right? There's agents driving down the road. They're swimming right now, and they're listening to this, and they're thinking, well, I mean, maybe he's lowering their cost of insurance, right? What other things, I wonder, would he be doing? What would be some of the things, Shawn, that you guys are doing that you pride yourself on that you feel other agencies aren't doing?
Well, one of the things that we do is we take a look at the total cost of risk as a whole, right? So it's not just about the insurance costs, and it's not just about insuring or lowering the insurance premium. But let's take an example of a work comp related injury. If someone is to get hurt with a preventable injury, right? So, lifting injury, lower back injury. What happens is we obviously have the costs that we know about. We have the loss of the employee, the cost of the insurance, the potential increase that we have because the work comp mod may go up because of this injury. But what we don't take into consideration and we don't think about often enough is all the costs that are hidden we have to bring someone in to temporarily do the job of that individual. We might have to train that individual. Our income may suffer because we don't have the skill set replacement for this individual. And so there's a whole cost to a work-related injury or a claim in particular that never gets really talked about. Yeah, and from time to time, I'm sure it does. But we have some proprietary software that we use that gives us the total cost of risk. It says for every claim dollar spent, this is what you're going to lose in terms of dollars towards your bottom line. And then we will customize a plan centered around that particular business and what they do to create a culture of safety and risk minimization, or hopefully risk elimination, with a very specific plan for loss control. And so we bring in an individual that we have on staff who is trained and certified to provide businesses with tools that help them to reduce that risk. And so what it does, and we put them on a service cycle. So we'll analyze their claims. We've got a claims analyst that works for us, a former claims adjuster who analyzes the claims. We can figure out where a lot of the claims are coming from, what the frequency is, and we can focus in on that area. That's all a part of a service cycle that includes a pre-renewal meeting, a stewardship meeting at the end of the year, a full renewal meeting, and then going out to market if necessary. But we're in this for creating long-term relationships, not only for us but for our carriers as well. So this isn't a price game for us, and it shouldn't be a price game for the client either. It does nobody any good to just go out and quote the insurance every year and try to bring back a lower premium. Where's your value as an agency? Become a commodity at that point. We're making an effort to not be a commodity and really help that client be a successful business long term.
That's great. That's really great. The thing is, I love what you said about the safety culture, trying to create that, because it does. And there are those rarities where they've got jobs, but in most classifications, they're expected to have some type of claim, right? I always tell my clients, and Shawn, it sounds like we sell the exact same, is that I tell my clients, you may be perfect and you can be as safe as you want, but Forrest Gump says it best, shit happens. Mm-hmm. And if that happens, do we know what to do?
Right.
Do we have a plan, right? If we have a plan, man, it could be the simplest plan to the most complex. But the point is, we got something going on. So good for you in that. Good for you. Just once again, yet the cream rises to the top. It's what's made you guys successful. You love the fact that you're not always competing on price. Price is always important, but so the way that you sell and the way we sell kind of makes it not the most important thing, and I really, really applaud you for that. And all those in-house services give you such an advantage out there. So, but there's a lot of those third-party companies, agents that you can find out there as well that are providing these services now. You can find them online, and there's a couple. If you want to talk to me off air, I'll tell you about them. The ones that we use for our workers' comp. We also use a company, Shawn, for our at the end. It's called Zinjuries. They help manage the work comp claims. You heard about them?
I have not, but I know there's quite a bit out there that can be utilized.
You should look at them. These guys are great.
Okay.
Yeah, those guys are fantastic. The Zinjuries, because it's the software that they use is amazing. That helps get the claims closed quicker. Anyways, we'll go on. Anyways, just amazing. And once again, we make no money from that or anything. As a disclaimer, that is just strictly what we use in our agency. This is two agents just talking and trying to help one another out. But anyways, let's go on, because I want to talk about Mark, right? There's the Shawn guy, there's all of this, but really there's more than one. There's a management team and stuff. But tell us about Mark. Bring him into this story.
Yeah, so Mark was one of the partners at Assurance Partners, and Mark had been a partner, I think, since 2006 in their organization. And so Mark and I are pretty close in age. We both hail from the Kansas City metropolitan area. And so there's a lot of similarities in sort of how we came up in this business. And I think that's one of the things that I want to, make sure that people understand is that our success as an agency has been through a team concept. It's about collaboration and it's about working together. And the thing that I most enjoy about working with Mark is that he is one to always listen to what the idea is. He is never an immediate naysayer to anything. It's like, okay, well, let's talk about it, right? And so one of the things that I think's made us really successful is that when you look at the leadership team, and the leadership team is comprised of Mark and myself. It's comprised of our COO, Jennifer Fezenden, our CFO, Debbie Deal, our Chief Growth Officer, Nancy Novak, our sales leader, David Lee, who's also a partner, and then Mike Oftenberg, who is our sort of Chief Administrative Officer. That team
seems like there's a lot of diversity there.
A lot of diversity, right? So you got some sales experience, you got some admin experience, you got some finance experience. And so it's really important that we have a diverse leadership team because it needs to be representative of our agency, right? And obviously we're a sales organization, but we also have a big, heavy service profile as well. So that team, over the course of the last 2 years, has developed an immense amount of trust with each other. We meet weekly. We have quarterly in-person meetings because we're all spread out over the different locations. And we have been able to create a high level of trust that when we get into the room and we're having a discussion where there may be a difference of opinions, we are able to speak those opinions without judgment, without criticizing each other. It is simply about making this agency better. This isn't a, hey, you won that one, so I get this one. It's not what it's about. And it's not what building an agency should be about. It should be about trust. It should be about putting your clients and your employees first and creating an atmosphere of collaboration and success. That's really what I think has driven us to the success that we have. And Mark's a big part of that because, Mark, he's the best, in terms of, bringing that sales aspect to our leadership team. He's still a producer, right? He's still an account executive who's out there in the grind, and he's been very successful at doing so. And so he's able to give that perspective of what it means to be a producer in our agency, what it's like, the challenges they face, the opportunities that we have. And so between that and the team, it's been a very successful marriage.
What would you say is that thing? I mean, did you get lucky? What's the magic that makes it to where, let's just talk about this here for a second. Let's talk about an organization that's not like yours, and they don't really speak openly at their meetings. There's not a lot of candidness. There's not a team environment. How are they that and you're what you are?
Well, I think first of all, you got to be willing to partner. And when you look at both organizations, both were willing to take the step to partner with Broad Street, right? That's not an easy task for legacy owners to do, right? Because that means that you're bringing on an outside partner. Hey, things may change, things that we may be dictated to. Now that doesn't happen with us. We do everything locally, but you have to be willing to partner. And I think that if you're going to be a successful agency, you have to be willing to learn continually, right? So I think for us, we were a group that wanted to continue to learn and continue to be successful and was okay with partnership, right? So you have to be open to that. And it's my personal belief, the more transparent you are, the easier it is, right? I mean, you think back to being a kid, right? And you did something wrong. Your parents knew you did it, right? And what was worse, the lie or being truthful, right? Well, if you were just truthful with it to begin with, transparent with it, your parents were like, okay, hey, right. But if you lied, it was far worse than that, right? So Be transparent with your leadership team. Be transparent with your employees. I mean, we do an employee engagement survey every year. And we're looking to make sure with our employee engagement survey that we have given the right tools to our people, that we have included them in the decisions that we're making, their feedback. And so we want all green on our employee engagement survey, 16 different points over 4 different areas. We want to be all green. So I think the secret to ours is not a secret. It's one of willingness and partnership. And at the end of the day, we subscribe to the old Patrick Lencioni book, Humble, Hungry, and Smart. And there's a lot of humility in our organization. And without that, we wouldn't be where we're at today.
Right. And I guess that comes from leadership, but it also sounds from, like you said, there's a willingness to partner when you had the agencies. And I really love it. For all you Rough Note listeners, I asked this to Shawn, and I told him before the show that I thought this was important that we talk about this. Travis Etheridge is my business partner, and we have a very similar partnership. And it really kind of brings into, as I think about this, Shawn, one of the things that Travis always says is that if you want to be part of the leadership team or the management team or even mainly ownership, you have to bring something to the table skill-wise other than sales. Right? Sales is important, but but I feel as if sometimes partnerships don't work when we're looking at when it's a competitive thing, right? Mm-hmm. When it's people that have the same skills, specifically sales. Well, I can do this without you. It's those who realize, man, I can't do it without you because I'm not good at the finance part. You are. And I'm not good at operations, but you are. But I'm really good at the marketing part, and I could do that. And we have that feeling. It's almost like you trust the other person because you realize you're not good at that, right? Yeah. But that person needs your input in order to be as good as they need to be as well. So it's that's good stuff. I like that, Shawn.
No, that's absolutely right. And I think about this from the CEO perspective, right? I mean, my job is to make sure that I create a team that's smarter, quicker, better, more skillful than I am, right?
That's right.
And when you do that, you will create success. But you've got to be willing to take that step. If you don't, then you'll mess your own self up, and then that'll be not good.
I love what he said. We'll bring Mark into the conversation here. A quote from Mark is what really made the merger work is that even though the people in management team come from 2 very different agencies, we wound up having a perfect fit as a team. Shawn and I never disagree about business or people or process. And that agreement extends to other members of the management team. We're all about what is right, not what makes money.
Yeah.
And I do not believe for 1 minute, Shawn, in the little time that we've known each other, that's lip service. I believe that. And that's good for you guys. That's awesome. I love it. Now let's just go back down and let's jump down to the last thing that I really wanted to talk about. And it has to be the way that you guys give back to the community. Yeah. I think that is a huge thing. I know you guys pride yourself on that. I think we sometimes as independent insurance agents, Shawn, take for granted the fact that there are many organizations in our town that whenever they need money, they think of us. And I think we lose sight of that sometimes, right? Mm-hmm. I think we lose sight of the fact that our agencies put hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars into the community by the claims that we provide, right? By people being able to actually put back up. But direct dollars and direct time, that's something that you guys are really, really, you pride yourself on. It's what's always been with the other 2 agencies, and you've carried it forward.
Yes. Yeah, that very much is correct, Jason. I mean, it's, and sometimes we struggle to share that message with the communities as a whole because we are a humble organization, and it seems almost self-serving to talk about it or put it on our website, but we're told all the time, we're like, no, you need to tell people. But, we believe that the world goes round because people care and because people invest. And that doesn't just apply to business. That applies to nonprofit organizations within the community. And there are some really great organizations doing amazing things in all of our communities, and we'd love to partner with all of them if we could. and we partner with a lot. But this probably goes back to years ago. Doug and Eric's dad, and this is particularly for me in the last 15 years growing up in the agency, is he was somebody who gave back intentionally, right? And it was just who he was, and that got passed down to the next generation, and then you start bringing on people who have that in mind as well. And when you give the opportunity for your employees to participate in that giving back, it's a compound effect, right? Because it's not just the agency, right? It's the people in our agency, and they're giving of their time, talent, and treasure. And I want us to be an organization that I can look back on and say, okay, we made a difference in somebody's life more than just providing insurance. And if I can get to the end of my career and say, hey, as an agency, as an individual, and as our employees we were able to give back and make a difference in somebody else's lives, multiple lives, then it's a job well done on all of our parts. And I will feel satisfied no matter how big the agency gets or whatever we do or whatever accolades we may receive. It all pales in comparison to be able to make a difference in people's lives. And that's just who we are. I mean, and that's not lip service. That's just who we are.
Internally as well, though, Shawn. And I think that we sometimes look at what we do outside, but we don't think about what we're doing inside, right? About the people that you have inside your business, that their lives ever to change. The last thing I want to close out with is that, to me, philanthropy is anywhere. And as you said, trying to make lives, change lives. You now have a producer pathway to ownership that allows the producers who've been with your agency 3 years and who are validated to earn bonuses that can be turned into ownership. Give us a little snippet about that. What is that?
Yeah. So, I remember when I became a partner. I became a partner in 2016. And I remember almost immediately the feeling that I had that I was a part of something, the way that it changed my perspective on the day-to-day. Felt like I had an owner's perspective before, but when you see your name on it, it just really, you take so much pride in what the organization is doing and the growth. Amen, and all brother. Of this stuff. It just changes your perspective. And so I thought, why does just a few people have to have all the ownership? We've got plenty. This organization's large enough. This is something we should really think about offering to our folks. And so the idea of taking the producer pathway to ownership from just idea to making it happen was a simple one in my mind. It's like, listen, I want to create opportunity for these folks, and I want to create opportunity to build wealth and create opportunity for them to be a part of something bigger than themselves, right? And so, the idea came about, and I just kind of started kicking around some ideas. We talked about as a leadership team. Hey, what if we created a bonus opportunity, right? And these individuals obviously will have some goals that they have to meet, but once they hit those, we give them that money and we let them buy in. And everybody thought, man, that seems like a pretty cool idea. Let's do it. And so we did. And I think that already just the announcement of it at the beginning of the year, people are already kind of talking about it, right? We've already got one guy who's already met his goal for the year, right? And I said, well, maybe your goal is a little too low. We should change it and up it a little bit. He says, no, come on, man, I made my goal. But it creates excitement. It creates a desire to be more successful. And, we kind of call it like making millionaires, right? I mean, this is about an idea of not just millionaires as in dollars, but millionaires as being people, right? Being successful and working hard and being rewarded for it, right? It's a cool opportunity. I hope it's one that, when there are people that come on board to our organization and know that there's this opportunity, it's what drives them. It's what excites them about becoming a part of our organization. And I think it's a uniqueness from a recruiting perspective. If I'm being totally honest, it's like, hey, when I have a prospective, producer prospect in our office, I can say, hey, we've got an opportunity for you to someday be an owner in this organization.
Mm-hmm.
How many other organizations out there are offering that as an opportunity? So anyway,
not only are they not offering it, but every young agency owner or agent is sitting out there, and he or she are thinking to themselves, "What's my future in this? Right? What's my plan?" And a lot of them, a lot of agency owners don't want to have that conversation because they assume that the agent or the agent or the licensed individual wants to be owner tomorrow. And they really don't want to. What they want to know is that, hey, I'm 25 or hey, I'm 30. And where do you see me in this organization at the age of 40, right? Because I'm just sitting here as an account manager. I don't know all that stuff the agency owners know and all that. I mean, where is that? And I think that that's important. And that's what I love about the Producers, the Pathway. And when you're talking about changing organizations in town, you're changing organizations that change your organization. And so kudos to you on that, Shawn, and good for you. And I'd love to be able to follow that and figure out. I'll see you in a couple of years and I'll say, hey, how'd that go?
Yeah.
And you'll say, well, we got more owners of the business. I'll tell you that. So I think that'll be successful. Wrapping it up, anything you want to say, Shawn?
No, I think, just to add to what we were discussing there, I think the other thing too is we brought on owners who are not salespeople as well. And I think that's an important facet that gets lost with a lot of agency owners. They think, well, if they're not producing, then they're not really creating revenue for the agency. And it's like, whoa, wait a second. Why is that? It's a philosophy that's permeated the years, right? And it's like, no, Shawn. I mean, do you realize what other people are doing to make sure that commission ends up in some salesperson's paycheck at the end of the month? And so we've taken that opportunity to go, hey, listen, you may not sell, but we're going to create an opportunity for you to be a partner in this organization as well, because you're contributing to the growth and the success of this agency as a whole. So, yeah, I think in closing, what I would say is that, if you're an agency owner out there who is wanting to grow their organization, spend time investing in your people. If you invest in your people, the business will take care of itself. You will grow. Your organization will be successful, because if there's anything that I've felt has been the greatest thing to our success, and leadership's great. Hey, we all get along. That's great. We work together, but we work together to create an environment for our employees where they enjoy working here. They want to be here. There's growth opportunity. We put them first. And when you put them first, the clients get taken care of with no problem, and the agency will grow.
That's right. That is right. So I think there's a guy who said, I was watching this. Wasn't watching. I was in this seminar, in one of these meetings recently. And they said that there's 3 things that every employee needs, and they'll want, like any person. Me, if I was an employee or whatever, they want to know that they have opportunity in the business. They have the ability to grow. And that's what you just said, Shawn. I love that. They understand that, like, there is no ceilings here. Like you can continue to go. The other one is an environment, was it a hostile or was it a good environment? The culture. That was the thing. And number 3 was actually money. And what he said, what I thought was interesting, Shawn, I thought about this a lot. It seems like it's more right than wrong. Is he said that you only have to have 2 of the 3 to be successful. But if you only have 1 of the 3, you'll never be successful. If you have 3 of the 3, then that's just great. But you really only have to have 2 of the 3. You could not really make a lot of money, but if you have a great culture and there's tons of advancement opportunity to make money, people will take it, and it's just something to think about. And I think sometimes, it's just, I don't know if it's reading. I don't know if it's hanging around the right people. I don't know if it's being in the right place, but I think there's people like you, Shawn, that just have done the right things in order to say, hey, this feels right. And I love what he says is it's not about the money, it's about doing the right thing. And that permeates through the whole organization. So once again, Shawn, Mark, good to you, management team. Rough Notes wins again on being right, on keeping the high quality agency on the front cover. So Kudos to you. I'm proud of you, man. You're making us look good out there. When people see us, they may say, "Oh, what's that old agency over there?" Because that's what they think when they drive by mine or whatever. But when they find out, right? They eventually find out. And a lot of times when people find out, I don't know if your people have said the same thing to you. It's like, I didn't realize this is what it was like working in an insurance agency.
Right.
This is a lot more exciting than I thought that it was. And good for you, Shawn.
Yeah, every day is a little different, and of course, in today's marketplace, it's really interesting. So even more.
It's really interesting. As I close, Rough Note listeners, I want you to just really think about something that he said in there, and it's about investing in your greatest asset, which is your people. And I also want you to make sure that the asset you're investing in is worth it, right? I see a lot of times where agency owners are willing to pay a $50,000 or $60,000 a year payment when maybe $70,000 or $80,000 would get them a little bit of a higher quality person. A person maybe that they're thinking that $50,000 or $60,000. Now I'm using that. It depends on where you're listening to across America. And you listen to that in New York, you're thinking, Cass, you can't buy anything for that. But seriously. Okay. So I want you to know that when you think about this, because it was really important that I understand, and he said a little bit of it. This was my thought. I read one time where Steve Jobs said that he said, we don't hire smart people and tell them what to do. We hire smart people and have them tell us what to do. And I think if you don't hire smart people, you don't understand that concept of how your life can get so much better. And I think sometimes we say, well, I hired smart people. You probably did. I'm not saying you didn't. I'm not saying your people are dumb. Okay, let's not get too critical here. But I do know this. Smart people usually know they're smart, and they usually have really good results, so they usually cost a lot of money. That's just what I have found to be true. And so I think that is very, very important, because I'm willing to bet people like Shawn, probably a lot of agencies that have graced this cover are realizing that the price of people has went up. The caliber of people has actually went down. I hate to say it. And it's hard to find those good ones out there. And you've got to pay a little bit more. And sometimes that means that you may not be able to get a new Audi every 2 years, agency owner. Okay, let's just be real, right? I'm an agency owner and I drive an Audi. See? But it's a 2017, Shawn. See, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, you got to put it back in the agency, right?
Mine's a 2016. It's also an Audi.
That's hilarious. I have to tell you, Rough Note listeners, that was not in the notes. So that's fantastic. Thank you, everybody, for you. Shawn, thank you for you. Mark, your team out there. Thank you, Dave, Mark, everybody there at the Rough Notes. Just thank you for allowing this opportunity to happen. Thank you for choosing people like this. Thank you for making our agency better and our industry better, I should say. This has been Jason Cass with Rough Notes Magazine, which is Front Cover, a Rough Notes podcast. Thanks.